Hey everybody, welcome back to Champ and Sons and our Planet Coaster 2 series here with Austin's Carnival as we are getting ready for the first big, expansion to our now permanent little carnival setup. So the last episode we got kind of the dirt pathways because a lot of these carnivals are either in a parking lot or in a field somewhere. This one's in a field, for now at least. So we've got this... We got it set up last time, and right now we're going to get ready to start working on our first coaster that we wanted to put in. And thinking about how a park kind of grows and how they would in the past, with this being kind of more of this is an old school historical kind of, I'm not going to say historical kind of build because I don't really know the time periods for all these rides. I mean, I can probably Google it, but that's just not me, let's be honest. But thinking of how you've seen them grow throughout time before, as far as rides and stuff like that, I think the best thing to put in would be an old school wooden coaster, right? And so that's what I wanted to go with, and it's not going to be a massive one. This isn't something like you're going to expect from like the Beast or something, or Son of Beast or anything like that. This one is going to be more modeled off of the Texas Cyclone that used to be at Astro World, which is pretty much mimicked from the Cyclone at Coney Island. I think there's some minor differences. Or think Judge Roy Scream at Six Flags over Texas, that kind. That's really going to be the inspiration for it. It's not going to be too intense, but it's definitely not a family-style coaster. Just to say that, So we are going to get this thing going. We're going to get it building. It's going to be a pretty decent height. I am going to give it some decent height. It's going to go right behind the Ferris wheel, one of the first drops. At least that's kind of the plan for it. And I think just because the viewpoint of it sets it up really nice that way, if we can get that viewpoint done. It really would flow perfect, especially with the entrance of the park being right there for now. And it really kind of sets the mood for what you're going to be walking into. All right, so you can tell it's sped up right now. We're jumping into the little time-lapse portion of us actually building it. And so, like I said, we're going to get it twisted around here. I do a lot of smoothing. I guess people still do the 4-meter method that was it Silverette did from Planet Coaster 1. That's just not me. I've tried it. I'll say this, my problem with that is making turns. I just ain't that good at it, It's going to be relatively basic as far as design, like I said. The queue line and all that's not going to be too expansive. It's not going to be too completely decorated out or anything like that. So I think it's going to work out really well for what we have going here in the park. And kind of the way, this park is going to be set up. Now, you may have seen me do that little shift over at the top of the lift hill as it goes down, and that's only because whenever I watch the old videos on YouTube of the Cyclone, if you ever notice once it comes off that lift hill, there's a slight little turn, and that's because it comes straight back into a little turnaround moment, and normally that goes comes back around right next to the track, right? So you have them running side by side with each other. This one I wanted to do it a little differently. And I kind of realized my mistake after I built it, as far as why my mind just couldn't comprehend getting the track to come right back against itself. I've got that fixed. I know how to do it, but I really like how this coaster turns out in the end. It's going to be a pretty fun, exciting coaster. It's a good one for people that really had never been on like a big kind of thrill coaster. It's a good starter, to say the least. So I'm going to let this time lapse continue on as we get into building it. You're going to see me do some smoothing throughout the building process. I have gotten used to doing that as we test it out. But yeah, I'm going to let you jump into the time lapse as we get this thing built. And I will see y'all on the other side of it, everybody. All right, I am back as we are getting into building the station here. I did go ahead and open it up. I wanted to see how many people would flow into it and stuff like that. So, and I think it does bring a lot of attention into the park, right? So in the station house, I really didn't want to go too excessive with it, right? Don't want to be too complicated about it. It's the first coaster. We're still, if you think about it in terms of, we just have income from a basic kind of successful, though basic but successful Carnival setup. So we're not going to be able to go into these extravagant kind of station houses or anything like right now. Although at the price of wood these days and how much is being put in here, I could see why you could think that was happening. But I really just wanted the station to be pretty basic. And for the most part, all the stations I really like to build are ones that are, I guess, more open-aired. You know, they're ones that they're not too extravagant, really. They're pretty big. They just provide a cover. It helps get everything set up, helps get people out of the sunlight, the entrance to the ride, so when you're getting on and stuff. But I really just go kind of more simple with it. That's kind of my theory behind any station for me, at least. Don't want to go too much with it in that sense. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and we are continuing to build this thing. And I really like how it turns out, right? And amazingly enough, the whole segment really does flow together. I think it turns out pretty damn well as we kind of get this thing built up here, and really works. It fits everything pretty exceptionally. We are not going to get kind of the pathways and stuff like that done in this episode. At least I don't think. No, we don't. I had to go back through and think about that for a second. So that stuff doesn't get done. It's really just going to be the ride station house and the ride. Now, you saw that we put the little flat area of path work over there coming off the exit queue. And that is pretty much going to be our essentially like gift shop area. So now that they have the photo booths and all that stuff for the on-ride photos, that's pretty much going to be where the on-ride photos are. It's a gift shop. You know, it's kind of standard for what you see at parks, with a generally around just about every ride for the most part. They all have a little exit building with either gifts, snacks, something like that, plus your on-ride photos. So that was really kind of the theory behind that. And then I do something in this one that I haven't normally done, and I kind of want to get into doing a little bit more. I thought about doing the railings, and because I prefer to do my own railings, but with all the curves in the pathway, I just couldn't bring myself to do it like that, you know. I just couldn't. It was too much. So I just did the in-game railings, which they do look fine for it. It's not anything excessive. And so now I'm trying to build I guess they'd be the starter, the launcher, whatever, for a little housing unit for the employee, just to kind of bring the whole segment together. I think it really works out that way a little bit better. And what I might even do at some point is start getting to where I use these board pieces and stuff like that as my railings. But I really kind of liked how this came together, and I think it does look pretty good building this in. I didn't really end up closing it all in, mainly just because I didn't want it to be shut off. I still want the employee to be comfortable. So that little flat piece right there is just that little, you think of it as a lift up little handle thing that you use to walk into it, you know, to be able to start the coaster off. So that's kind of what we were doing with that. It's rather simple, rather basic, you know, nothing too extravagant. Same thing with lighting. I will say I think I prefer the lighting stuff from Planet Coaster 1. I don't know why, but these lights at times, and maybe it's just the ones I'm choosing, they provide enough light when there's enough of them, I guess, which I guess is the way it should be, but I would really prefer if they provided a little bit better lighting in the end, you know what I'm saying? Like, that would just be so much easier. But they get the job done. They do get the job done. I will say that. So you're just closing off the path work around, because I don't want it to be seen from underneath. from the queue, the supports and all that. So we are going to work to actively hide kind of the supports, and you can see I'm testing out some bushes right now, walking along the way, because I do think when it comes to expanding and building, okay, I'll say this, especially in Austin, they're going to try to keep as much wild life and nature in there as possible. So assuming you're not building it in a field, like in a complete field, you are going to have a bunch of trees and all that, especially in and around Austin. There's a shit ton of foresty type trees and all that. So that's where I imagine something like this would end up going. You have your kind of plowed over area for the Carnival section with all the flat rides and where people are walking, but for this portion of it, yeah, it's going to be more of a nature type setting, right? And I don't want to overload it with trees, because I don't think in real life it would be, but I do want to have enough there that makes it seem like, okay, yeah, they really at least decided, at least they took care enough to try to think about that, right? So that's kind of why we're getting these things placed down and placed in here. Now we are going to be getting into a POV ride of the coaster here in a minute. You saw the sign we are calling it the Cyclone, an homage, if you will. But we are going to get into a POV ride, and I'm going to hop off for that so y'all can enjoy that without having to hear my lovely voice, the sultry sounds of me. But before that, guys, I do just want to let you know, hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit it already. I really do appreciate all the support y'all have shown the channel here. And guys, I'm going to let y'all enjoy this. I will see y'all in the next episode. So as always, stay safe, and well, later, y'all.